Motorola just launched a phone that looks like it wants to punch straight at the Galaxy S Ultra, but the closer you look, the more you wonder whether this is a bold flagship killer or a very expensive experiment that might backfire. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. Because on paper, the Motorola Signature should be exciting. It's stylish, unusually durable, packed with premium materials, and priced well below Samsung's upcoming Galaxy S26 Ultra. And yet, the more details come out, the more uneasy it feels, like Motorola itself isn't entirely sure what it just created. And that's why this phone actually matters. We're in 2026, and flagship smartphones have become painfully predictable. New Galaxy S, fast, great camera, done. New iPhone, same story. They're excellent, but boringly safe. That's why Motorola's Edge lineup stood out over the last few years. Stylish designs, trend-focused finishes, and solid performance at a lower price. So when Motorola teased the Signature, a true flagship with premium materials and even stylus support, it sounded like a genuine shakeup, something different, something bold. But bold doesn't always mean smart. Let's start with what Motorola absolutely nailed, the design. This is peak Motorola. You get twill or linen textured finishes instead of glass slabs, Pantone selected colors like olive and carbon, and a phone that actually looks and feels unique. It's thin, light, and stylish, the kind of phone that feels like an accessory, not a tool. What's wild is that Motorola didn't stop at looks. The Signature has IP68 and IP69 water and dust resistance, plus MIL STD 810H certification. That's rugged phone territory. Normally, phones that survive extreme heat, vibration, and abuse look like pocket-sized tanks. This one doesn't. It's slim, premium, and somehow still built like it can survive a rough life. That combination alone is rare. Then there's the Galaxy S Ultra comparison. At around €1,000, the Motorola Signature undercuts the Galaxy S26 Ultra hard, which is expected to start near €1,450 in Europe. Even after adding the Moto Pen Ultra, which costs another €60 and doesn't live inside the phone, you're still around €1,060. Yes, Samsung phones drop in price fast with deals, but even then, a realistic Galaxy S26 Ultra price would likely hover around €1,200, so Motorola is still cheaper. The question is whether it's cheap enough to convince Galaxy loyalists to jump ship. And here's where things get tricky. The Motorola Signature runs on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5. That sounds top tier, but it's not Qualcomm's best anymore. The real flagship chip is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. In real-world terms, the Gen 5 performs closer to the older Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the same chip used in the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, that's not a bad chip at all. The S24 Ultra is still incredibly fast. Motorola also uses advanced liquid metal cooling, which could help maintain performance longer under load. But perception matters. When you're asking €1,000, people expect the best chip available, not still very fast, just not the fastest. And that's a tough sell. The real wild card, though, is the camera. Motorola went all in with three 50-megapixel sensors on the back. The main camera uses Sony's LYTAT 828 sensor, which is genuinely exciting. On paper, it promises huge dynamic range, excellent low-light performance, and HDR that rivals cinema-grade cameras. And that's not just marketing talk. That sensor has already impressed in phones like the Vivo X300 Pro, producing vibrant, sharp, share-ready photos with incredible HDR. If Motorola's image processing can get anywhere near that level, the Signature could be a sleeper camera powerhouse. The rest of the camera setup is more conservative. A 3x telephoto, ultra-wide, and a flashy-sounding 100x super zoom that probably won't redefine zoom photography. But the inclusion of both telephoto macro and ultra-wide macro is genuinely cool, especially for people who love close-up shots. So where does that leave us? Motorola is being unusually cautious with this release. No clear US launch, foggy regional availability. That's not how companies act when they're fully confident. This feels like a test, a temperature check. The signature isn't aggressively undercutting competitors. It's not offering a killer exclusive feature. Instead, it's asking a simple question. Do you trust us enough to spend flagship money on a Motorola? If the camera delivers, this phone could genuinely steal some thunder from Samsung. If it doesn't, it risks being remembered as a beautiful, well-built, slightly overpriced experiment. And honestly, that makes the Motorola Signature one of the most interesting phones of 2026, not because it's perfect, but because Motorola is clearly gambling on its own reputation. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.